was a dark and stormy night, nor'easter rolling in. It's a long 12 hours, the power's out again. I pray for inner strength and that we don't lose no lives. Just another day in the first responders' eyes. Half a cup of coffee's gone, the first run comes in. A car slid off the road, there's a family trapped within. My heart beats like a hammer, I can barely catch my breath. I'm thinking the worst and hoping for the best. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mad Radio with John and Sam, your First Responders Network. Hey, it is great to be with you this evening. As you can see, John is not here with us. He got called away on some personal business. So we're sending shout outs to John and Hayes all around. He is having he's having a good night. I'll tell you all that much. Hey, I just opened the comment stream. So, Mad Radio and a Badge of Honor, we are one. We are out and about in the community doing incredible things. And it has been an incredible, I'll call it roller coaster ride, which means it was super fun. We had our very first responder family wellness and resiliency workshop at the Veterans Resource and Outreach Center right here in my backyard in Rowlett, Texas. Huge shout out and thank you to the folks at VROC for welcoming us in to have that workshop there. We had an amazing panel of married first responders, and they shared their strategies of, how they stay married, especially navigating the stresses of our jobs, as well as post-traumatic stress diagnosis. So it was awesome. And then after that, we went straight in to raising money. And we were out up in Allen this past weekend with the Lone Star Warriors. They're an incredible hockey organization. Yes, I said hockey. Texas has hockey. We do things in the warm weather, and we also have cold weather stuff. So we have an amazing Allen Americans hockey arena. And so the Lone Star Warriors are made up of disabled veterans and first responders. And they had hockey teams come in from across the U.S. to compete in an amazing tournament and raise money for a very worthy cause. Got to see a lot of our partners out there. And all of this that we've been doing came off of an incredible event way back on March 18th. We talked about it on the show. There's a golf tournament that was held locally in Garland out at Firewheel. And it was to raise money for the Heroes Bridge Memorial Park Foundation. Now, if you have never heard of the Heroes Bridge Memorial Park Foundation, if you've never heard of Heroes Bridge, that's where we are the 22nd of every month, bringing awareness to the suicide epidemic that plagues our veteran population as well as our first responders. And so what has come out of the Walk the Bridge, hashtag Walk the Bridge movement, again, that's the 22nd of every month. Everybody come out to Rockwall, Texas and walk with us. Spurned off this idea for a park. Now, it is the only memorial park in the world that when it's built, which is we're looking at the end of 2024, will be the only park of its kind paying tribute to those that we've lost by suicide. And that is our first responders, all, whether you're 911 dispatch, police officer, firefighter, EMS, all corrections, all of our first responders are represented there, as well as our military, and all of the military branches will be represented in the park. So you can check that out online, Heroes Bridge Memorial Park Foundation. And we raised a lot of money because of the help. Frankly, I'll just say it, because of our guest that we're having on the show tonight. She's absolutely incredible. You know, she does amazing things in her job, which allows her to go out into the community and do even bigger things for a lot of organizations, like the Park Foundation. We're so happy to have her as a partner. She is a marketing and promotion guru, but really where her heart is in bringing the community together. She's a champion for veteran and first responder causes. And so without further ado, I want to bring on Sheena Sharapata to the show. Hey, Sheena, how are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having
excellent.
me.
You bet. Welcome to Mad Radio. I know we're not as intense as the guys are over on 99. Neither are we as raunchy. So this is a really good show. Great cause that we're talking about, the Bridge Park, and as I talked about that, tonight's show is in memory of the Oregon State Police Sergeant Marcus McDowell. He was found dead in his squad car, and they have ruled it a suicide. So like I said, we're talking about Heroes Bridge Memorial Park Foundation, what this park, when it's all said and done, is about. You made a gigantic splash, a gigantic shake, a gigantic wake-up call. So much went on March 18th that I really don't think a lot of people knew.
Yes, lots of behind the scenes.
So, just give everybody the good news.
Yeah, so basically at Planet Ford 635, and then Rad Rides is our aftermarket lifted truck company. We are able to host several events a year to give back to different veteran and first responder nonprofits. So Lori Dodson, one of my really good friends, she actually introduced me over to the guys at the V-Rock in Rowlett, which led to obviously 12 introducing me to the 99 and Mongo and Sideshow and How I Met You. And they just started telling me about this park development and how it was such a, this idea that they wanted to bring into existence here in our community. And I was like, well, let's just do an event. Why not? And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, let's just do a golf tournament. So, and my friends make fun of me because I talk with my hands, and they joke that things start here and then they get bigger and bigger and bigger. So I'm like, yeah, we can let's try to get $50,000. And then at Firewheel, there's 3 courses. So then next year, let's try to double our teams, make it $100,000 for the park. And then once that park is built, we can continue to have this event and just grow it and grow it and grow it. Kind of like Guns N' Hoses does with Swavey. So basically, it is all these phenomenal companies that just takes really months of just reaching out in the community, reaching out on LinkedIn, social media, and one by one, all those companies come together. And I found when you have smaller amounts come together, we're able to do one big giant donation where, a lot of events you'll see $10,000 or $25,000 sponsorships. And with everything going on in the world, it's easier to get, $1,500 or $2,500. And then all those companies together are able to help contribute to this cause and mission. And it's because of them that we were able to put it all together.
Well, you truly are amazing at what you do at networking. And, your folks listening that tune in each week, they're probably like, Why does Sam have a marketing and production community event guru on Mad Radio tonight? Well, we're not. This isn't a coincidence because, you have known John and 12 and the guys from 99 for a lot longer than you and I have known each other. But I know that just watching what you do and then finding out what you suffered from, I was like, time out. This is too important. The ad for the show today, was all about surviving and finding the courage to survive what's termed as a suicide disease. Okay, so folks, there's your connection. And yes, Charlotte chimed in. And yes, suicide has such ripple effects. Yes, it does. If you guys are not familiar with this disease, again, it's called the suicide disease. Yeah, it's an attention getter. Just
right.
So I had to look it up. Trigeminal neuralgia.
Yes,
is the medical term, and I practice that all day. that is a tough one. And you and I share an awesome sport in common. Grew up playing soccer, and this is kind of like where all of this started. So can you kind of take us through your soccer career up to this diagnosis? Because there was a lot of things that were happening, and it was like, that's why they call it the suicide disease.
Yeah. So I started playing soccer when I was 5, and so I'll be 36 in June, just kind of for the timeline. So I played sweeper, and of course, my favorite thing to do was head the ball if somebody's kicking on the goal, and to corner kicks coming in, jump up and head the ball. And I actually suffered 8 concussions while playing soccer, and I would get these symptoms. And real quick, one of my concussions actually was someone was running and came in and slide tackled me. So my feet just went this way, and then my head just went straight into the ground and hit it. So I had a couple that were pretty bad versus just, someone hitting my temple or my head. And I started getting these symptoms where I would actually get vertigo, little floaters in my vision. My whole hand would start tingling, like when your foot falls asleep, and it would go into my arm. And then this was just complete dead weight. I mean, I could literally pick it up and just drop my whole arm and couldn't feel it. And then it would slowly travel, nerve pain in my nose, my teeth, my tongue. And then I would get this ice pick pain right here in the corner in my sinuses. And then I would get this massive headache, and I would just throw up. So I went into, the doctors in Dallas, and they did an MRI, CT scans, and they said, no tumors, no MS, no white matter, no aneurysms. You have migraines. And that traveling of, the vision and the hearing and all those different nerve signals, they told me was the aura. So it was called migraines with aura, was what I was told that I had. And my junior year, I was running, and this girl just kicked the ball. And right when I kind of turned, she had kicked it, and it hit me right in the back of my head, and my whole arm went numb. So I was like, okay, I can't keep playing like this. And I actually had a full ride scholarship to several colleges that I had to forego.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, you kind of, that probably was a big clue also that this wasn't migraine related when you got hit with the ball in the back of your head and your arm goes numb, because that's not related. That's an interesting thing. So where does the name suicide disease come from as it relates to, I'll call it TN?
Yeah, that's good. Basically, if you Google trigeminal neuralgia, it says you have nerve pain in your teeth, shocks in your teeth. You can't even touch your face if the wind blows on your face. It's such horrific pain that they call it the suicide disease, because what happens is you have 12 cranial nerves in your head, and your trigeminal nerve is your 5th one that runs kind of like this. And if you have a blood vessel, a vein, or an artery pushing against that, pulsating like this, that is what is causing all those issues to occur. And most people can't brush their teeth. They have to put their food in a blender and grind it up and drink it through a straw. A lot of people have teeth pulled, root canals, thinking that's the problem when it's really this nerve branch right here. And what happens is that blood vessel keeps pulsating on the nerve, and your nerve has a coating on it. Well, as you get older, it keeps pulsating and it's wearing that myelin sheath down. So essentially it's more direct contact, more pain as you get older. And these individuals are just getting fed, anti-seizure meds, pain pills, and those have so many side effects already with anxiety and depression to throw into this pain that no one can figure out. And then, people, they just can't, when you keep going to all these doctors and no one knows what's wrong with you, then that's kind of where the name comes from.
So, are a lot of, is it rare, or does it exist more than we just know about?
Right. So they say it's super rare. And the only reason I found out, so in my 20s, my symptoms changed. And I had this crazy pressure where my head felt like it was in a vice all day. And my eyes felt like they were going to pop out of my head. I literally even went to an eye doctor and had them test my pressures. They're like, no, you're good. And my hand would numb up. And then I felt like I had a worm moving in my temple. So if you imagine a telephone wire where a signal's like traveling across and then it would tighten up, you would feel it tighten up and move in your temple. And the big symptom for everyone watching is shocks and stabs. So I started getting these shocks in my eye. Like if I was talking to you, all of a sudden I'd go like that and literally get an electric shock. And then I started to get what felt like stabbing in my ear over and over when I woke up. So when I went into the doctor, they once again said, hey, this is just migraines. And thank goodness my mom and dad had gone with me to the doctor. And my mom's sister actually has trigeminal neuralgia, but she had the classic symptoms. So my mom said, can we rule it out? And they're like, you don't have that. You can touch your face. You don't have teeth pain. The radiologist read the MRI as negative. And then 3 days later, they call and they go, you actually have this. So there is this whole side now that we're seeing with all these people who are contacting me and finding me through social media who have had head trauma, concussions, TBI injuries, and they more have my symptoms. So to answer your question, I feel like there's just so many people going misdiagnosed.
Right. And you just mentioned a big thing with the TBIs. I mean, so we've got the veteran population, and we've also got, from what I've read and heard, a lot of the SWAT guys that are around the more percussive, the entry teams, with the blasts going on. It's starting to show up there. Obviously not as much as the military, exposure to the TBIs. I can only imagine that, we talk about post-traumatic stress a lot with the VA system, how this is completely not diagnosed, misdiagnosed. And, we've had veterans who are first responders talk about, oh, it's all about the pain pills.
Yep.
And we've got a whole addiction cycle as it relates to the pain pills and the terrible things that happen there. You actually started working and with the veteran population, did you not?
Yes. So my neurosurgeon, when I had both of my surgeries, he was at Johns Hopkins, and then he developed a trigeminal neuralgia center and brain tumor institute, and he's now at Stanford. He's the head chair of neurosurgery at Stanford. So now basically in Texas, they do virtual consults. Mm-hmm. So all these individuals reaching out have been able to get a consult set up. And there was actually a Green Beret veteran who found me on LinkedIn. His name's Tom and sponsors all of our events. He's with 8th Order, and he does incredible work in the community for veterans and first responders. And he just reached out to me one day. Someone had liked my post and he saw it. And he goes, "What's wrong with you? I have all of those symptoms." And we just started messaging, and I told him to reach out. And then he kind of knew that he probably had this, but it's a lot to kind of process. And then I actually ran into him and his wife in Vegas at one of the conventions, and I was like, "You need to make your appointment." So he finally called, and off of an old MRI, Dr. Lim saw the compression, which is where the blood vessels touching the nerve, and he has it. And he had surgery, and he had that crazy head pressure too that they don't talk about on Google. And when he woke up from surgery, all his head pressure was gone, his eye pain was gone, and the shocks were gone. And while healing, you get like a few of the nerve kind of firing back up.
Sure.
But I believe when he was on the 99, he said he's about 95, 96% better already.
That's amazing. I want to take a second. I have some photos that I want to share with everybody, because there is a surgery for this that you just mentioned. Now, just to let everybody know, this is a picture of surgery. So not the surgery happening, but just to give people a heads up. So I am going to, let's see, try and make this share screen work. Let's see. Let's see. All right, I think I got it here. Okay, can you see it?
Let's see. Yep.
Okay. So, obviously we have befores and afters, and I just realized I spelled trigeminal wrong, but it's okay, people. It's right there on the screen if you want to write it down. So kind of walk us through, because bilateral means both sides.
Yep. Yes. So I actually had surgery on my right side in 2019, and it's called the MVD for microvascular decompression surgery. So technically it's a craniotomy, and they do a small hole behind your ear and go in, and where that blood vessel is touching the nerve, they go in and put a Teflon spacer. So I have like a little cotton ball that stays in my head. And after that Teflon is placed, Dr. Lim actually looks for any additional places touching. And I had another one that went into my brain stem that he was able to decompress and had to leave a little bit. And after surgery, he was like, "I'm so thankful you came to me. If an inexperienced neurosurgeon would have messed with that, you could have had a severe stroke." And I was like, yeah. And it was a one-night stay. I was released the next day, flew back to Dallas 3 days later. And then most people, 4 to 12 weeks is kind of the time frame for recovery. And I'm super stubborn and learned I had a high pain tolerance. And I was back at work after 2 weeks. And most people, doctors, if you start talking about both sides, you don't have trigeminal neuralgia. It can't happen on both sides. No, then you don't have that. So when I was discussing this with my family, they were like, "Let's just focus on your right side. It's really bad. Let's not even talk about the other side." I was like, okay. So after surgery, the pressure went away, the shocks, the stabs, all that went away. Well, then I noticed my other side even more. So I ended up calling up and brought up the 3D mapping that they do before this surgery, and that helps for extra navigation. And I said, "Can y'all check the other side too?" And they said, "Yeah, you've got a couple places touching." And I was like, "What? This is a joke."
Wow.
And then I had that feeling that was like, you know what? Go show everyone you can be bilateral. Go show everyone what the symptoms are, how the two different recoveries are, that you can have success with these surgeries, and then go start a nonprofit. I was like, what? So that's down the road, but more just kind of what I'm already doing with a lot of MVD warriors, we call them, where we've had successful surgeries, and we just try to help anyone who has these symptoms and coach them how to get diagnosed and get that validation, as well as, what are the pre and post-op procedures that work for us that we can at least help. Because when I went to have this surgery, I had no clue. Like, I literally woke up and did I think the same? Is everything working?
Right.
So.
Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing here and come back.
Yeah.
All right. There we are. So yours came on after 8 concussions, so multiple times, head trauma over and over again through soccer. Is the bilateral, so both sides, is that more common with the folks that receive head trauma versus, is there like a traditional TN that is more directly related, like DNA wise, or in a family lineage that is only one side, or what's the difference?
So this is just, obviously, I'm not a doctor. This is just from me talking to hundreds of people. But from what I've seen, talking to individuals who have this, the people who have the traditional, more like the teeth pain, they're one-sided.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people who have more concussions, head trauma, car accidents, domestic violence, abuse, they have both sides, is what I've been seeing. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so one of the stories I was reading as I was doing my research for the show is, and we're talking about, if you're just jumping on late, we're talking about trigeminal neuralgia, or TM. It's called the suicide disease. And one, it was a young man telling a story that he couldn't even shave. And he knew that he couldn't walk around with one side, of a hairy face, the other one clean shaven. So it was all, he had to ask for exemptions if there were dress codes, if there was work related stuff, where he was like, you don't understand. I keep it as tight as I can, but I cannot shave my face. It would send him the sensations were like, it was so painful. It was like blinding.
Yeah. And from the outside, you look fine, you look fine. And that's what's hard about this is doctors and neurologists, they're so used to hearing that side that when someone like me comes in, oh yeah, my face is fine, then they totally dismiss all these individuals. And there's almost two different sides to it. It's almost like there's a head trauma side and then the classic teeth side and the face side. But my good friend Phoenix, who is up in Maryland, she was there for me. My family is super supportive, but nobody understands. Like I said, from the outside, you look fine. And I would message her when I had hard days, and then vice versa. She'd message me and we would just kind of build each other up. But she had that side. So, her children and fiance couldn't even kiss her on the cheek. She had to grind up her food in a blender. She could barely brush her teeth. And I ended up having both my surgeries, and she was like, okay, since you survived, I can go have mine.
You were the guinea pig. She was just watching you. Yeah.
So then she finally went and had hers. And I'll never forget, these are like the things that mean the most to me, is she is outside on her patio, and weather and storms make this worse. The barometric pressure changes.
Okay, I was going to get into that.
Yes, yeah. So there's a giant storm rolling in, and she texts me and says, I'm sitting on my patio watching the storms roll in, eating a steak on my TN side, and my 2 boys and my fiance are now able to kiss me on my face. Wow. And she goes, that's because of you, my friend. And I'm like, that is everything.
Yeah, makes you want to go do cartwheels. I mean, it is that is what it's about. John, if John was here, is like, totally get that. Because if you can help one person through your efforts and then get the feedback like that, it's so worth it. We get to a space where, when we're going through all of this stuff, we'll call it, is like, we almost psych ourselves out. Like, who wants to hear about my pain? Who wants to hear about all this crap?
Yeah.
Right. And it's really, I believe spiritually that there's a certain number of us on this planet that are chosen to go through the crap that we're chosen to go through, whatever that is: post-traumatic stress, suicide disease, we work with veterans on both sides getting blown up, severe burns, that kind of thing, because we can bear the scars of that pain in order to help heal others. And that's what I believe. It's what drives me to do what I do with John, with Mad Radio, with Badge of Honor every day. Those of us that have 501c3s, or those of us who don't have 501c3s but are passionate about the difference that they make in this world, whatever it may be. Maybe you're in direct sales, you know what I'm saying? It's that passion that fuels you in your heart to know that you're making a difference for somebody else. And I really find this interesting because the medical community has gotten knocked around a bit, I'll say, this since 2019, right? And if you're watching both sides, it's you've got one camp that is running with one narrative, if you will. I'm being careful with what I say because we actually did another medical show, and one of our platforms took it down. So is one camp and one narrative, and then you've got other physicians, nurses on this other side with another narrative. Whichever narrative you want to believe as your truth, that's totally fine. No judgment. I wish there was a place where, in your case, okay, because this is devastating. I mean, to get a nickname for a neurological, it's neurological.
It's considered a neurological disease or disorder.
Okay. To be termed suicide disease, okay, it's pretty intense. And it seems like the same thing. It's like, oh, you've received head trauma, so it can't be TN.
Yep.
Versus, oh, you've got tooth pain and it's on one side of your face, so yeah, it can be that.
Right. And the hardest thing is, I could go and broadcast this to everyone if everyone was watching this right now. If you still go to some doctors and can touch your face, you're dismissed. Oh, you don't have it. Or they won't. Some of these individuals reaching out, their primaries won't even order them an MRI. And I'm like,
oh, that's
what?
Crazy. Okay.
And a great example is my cousin Erin. I mean, she was 23, cheerleader, concussions. She was in the ER for 7 days. Both of my symptoms, everything at one time. And they're like, are you having a stroke, a seizure? Like, what's going on? And at the end of everything, they do a MRI with and without contrast. And she's like, look, I have 2 or 3 people in my family that have this. Do I have this? And they're like, nope, your MRI is clear. And she was devastated. I was like, just let's get it to Dr. Lim. Yeah. And he found 2 places where it was touching. And then she had surgery. So now, I don't know the number. These people, a lot of these doctors can't read the imaging properly. So then individuals, they don't know any better. Oh, I don't have it. When they might, if they sent it to a top neurosurgeon, oh yeah, there's a compression. And then that makes you a candidate for the surgery.
Yeah, you have to be an advocate for yourself. I mean, yes. Part of dealing with pain is it can make you feel like you're going crazy, right? Yeah. And if all you have is somebody telling you don't have something, or not helping you rule out, especially if you have a family history, and they're just throwing pain meds at you. Well, pain meds and alcohol, we all know what that can lead to, right? Because it just takes more and more. I want to ask. It does seem like you've got this running in your family.
Yeah, I think there's a hereditary component. Obviously, there's not like enough research about it, but I've got other individuals who I've met through forums that have this and have had surgery, and they have it running in their family, or someone else in their family has an autoimmune like lupus or MS.
Okay.
So there's not like enough research, but I believe maybe is it something that stays dormant, and then after that, head trauma, car accident, root canal, bad dental work, that's the trauma that flares it, and then the symptoms come out.
Okay, so that's where I was going next. That some people, it just is it at a certain age if you don't have head trauma?
So what's crazy is if you Google this, it says that most people who have this are women in their 50s. And I've had issues since I was 15 years old, and my cousin was 23. And a lot of the individuals who have this are in their 30s. And there's even a 9-year-old boy has this. A 16-year-old girl in Dallas, concussion when she was 14. And on Facebook, somebody tagged me and said, "Is this what you have?" And she has it and had surgery.
So the surgery, it doesn't matter like what your age, it's merely what is presenting itself inside the head,
Yes.
that nerve being pressed on by the blood vessel. That's
Yes.
what they're looking for is the contact point.
Yep. And once you get into the surgery, that's a whole nother story. There's a lot of doctors where they only do 4 or 5 of these a year. And my friend Dawn from Nebraska was just in town in Dallas, and I got to meet her in person, and she had surgery on each side. But she originally found someone in Nebraska who only did 4 of these a year. And I was like, whoa. And she ended up going to Dr. Lim and, had great success. And now we're starting to see things that we've all learned, and that's what we're educating everyone on. So the hole that they made in my skull, I actually have bone cement over it, so it's more naturally accepted, heals to my body. And my good friend Chelsea, she had surgery. We met on social media, and she reached out, and she was having tons of issues. And if she stood up, her heart rate would actually spike up 50 beats per minute. She had metal taste in her mouth, dizzy, nauseous. And I'm like, it's not supposed to be like this. And, no one could really help her. And right on her incision, there was like a protrusion right there. So she ended up laying down to Dr. Lim, and he did surgery. The plate was coming out of her head.
Oh, my Lord. Okay.
Yeah. So he took the plate out, and right there at her incision site, there was a CSF leak. So with that bone cement, he was able to seal that up. And another one of those beautiful moments, a week later, she sends me a selfie, and she's at the park, with her family. And it's like, if these individuals, that's another thing going on. People are getting surgery, and then the plates are being rejected, and there's a lot of potential issues, CSF leaks, which now she's helping all these individuals with leaks, which is phenomenal work she's doing, where these people are just sitting there and no one's helping them.
And that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
It's like, I was looking to get out of pain. Now when I stand up and I am falling over and I can't drive and I can't do anything, how did this make my life better? It just sucks now in a different way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like almost a movement. All these people who've had success, we're all educating and helping and just trying to help people find those answers. And that's why we do what we do. And another perfect example is originally when I went to Dr. Lim, you have to obviously fly to him for surgery. And I had never had any surgery before in my life. So, it's like,
whoa, yeah, let's dive into the deep end with bilateral brain surgery.
Yeah, let's just fly across the country and have 2 holes drilled in my head. But I went to a doctor in Dallas, and he literally looked at me, never shook my hand, told me that my blood vessel was barely touching my nerve. It was probably sinus pressure. Good luck getting my insurance to cover surgery, never being on anti-seizure pills. And my favorite, you don't look suicidal to me. And I'm a strong person, and I was bawling, lost it. And I was like, I'm going to Dr. Lim. And they're like, okay. So, but for everyone else who isn't as strong, and this doctor basically just tears you apart. What do you do? Okay, give me the pills. I'll take them. I mean, he gave me like 3 different samples of anti-seizure meds to take.
And
So
what's the anti-seizure?
it's
I guess I'm not getting the.
Yeah, it's supposed to help with the nerve pain. So, most of these doctors are prescribing anti-seizure pills, and, there's, I believe, like 4 or 5 different kinds, and some people are on like 3 of them. And, one of my friends that actually had the surgery that I met in a forum, they had to come off of this anti-seizure pill, and it took months, and they were going through withdrawals as they were slowly getting off these pills. So that's like a whole nother issue if you're taking these meds. And a lot of doctors, they say that this surgery is so invasive. And I'm like, you can take pills your whole life. There's a laser radiation you can do, which is damaging the nerve and causes scar tissue. And then the surgery looks scary, but obviously you're not damaging the nerve. You're just putting a little pillow spacer between it.
Right.
So yeah, it looks intense, but if you go to the right place, it is possible to feel better after 2 to 3 weeks. But so many of these doctors, the surgery's bad, and then it's just individuals are being told to just take the pills.
Yeah. So let's have that insurance, conversation right now. So if you're listening to this and it's either you or somebody that a family member, that these symptoms sound very familiar. Maybe they've been diagnosed with the migraines and it just doesn't keep getting better. Things get worse. But how do you have that conversation with insurance if you can't get that MRI, if you can't get somebody to actually read the MRI the way it needs to be read in order to rule out TN?
Yes. So what I tell everyone, if you are having shocks, stabs, any of those pains or these migraines, or if you do have teeth pain, sensitive face, basically Dr. Lim at Stanford, and they do absolutely nothing for me. I call it my God job, literally just trying to help people and pay it forward. They do virtual consults. So you can literally reach out to them. They do that through Texas. And you can have a consult and talk about your symptoms, what's going on. And this is actually diagnosed more by symptoms in clinic. And then from there, you can get an MRI ordered. And then if you see that compression, that just means that the surgery is a form of treatment for you. So you can kind of go around and kind of go that route. Because there are some individuals I've met where some doctors have told them, you need to try these pills for 2 or 3 years first. And I never took any of that. So,
right. So is Dr. Lim's name spelled with 1 M or 2?
Just 1, Lim.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's at Stanford?
Yes.
Stanford University.
Stanford Healthcare.
Stanford Healthcare.
Yeah. And the university works with them. They're kind of hand in hand.
Oh, got it. All right. I just put that in the comments. So we had the correct spelling for everybody that wanted to look him up. Okay. So big question. You have the surgery. This pillow is put in. Any chance that, stuff you have to have a repeat?
Yeah. So I am always considered in remission, and heaven forbid I get into a car accident, hit my head, spacers move, new things are touching. So obviously I just got to live each day and can't, be fearful. I used to shoot shotguns. Obviously I don't do that anymore. Just it didn't make sense with the recoil and everything. So I just try to be safe. But there is actually a woman that I met in the forum in Dallas who had the surgery 30 years ago, and she's still good. Wow. So if you go to the right place, which there's, several of them, but if you go to the right place and the surgery's done properly, then you can have success.
That's amazing. That truly is amazing. And you said the key, you get to the right place.
Yes.
So, in the beginning of the show, we talked about, the whole show, we've talked about where your heart is, and it's helping people. It's helping people to understand TN, but it's also helping people just to understand that you don't have to be stuck in a tough place, that there's room to grow, there's room to move, and you do so much. You talked about Rad Rides and Planet Ford 635, which is where you work.
Yes.
But you guys, through the businesses, through the connections, you have events coming up that are directly benefiting first responder and veterans causes. And one of those coming up benefits the Sons of the Flag.
Yeah.
Tell us about you have in here the Third Degree Shoot,
Yep.
which is on August 26th.
Yep.
And how can people find that?
Yeah. So basically what we do, it's a giant clay shoot, and it's our third annual, and that's going to be at Texas Gun Ranch, which is in Terrell. And our goal is to get 40 to 50 companies out there to support. And basically, if you want to get a team, it's $1,500, or for $2,000, you get a team of 4 to shoot, material in the thank you bags, recognition on the banner, social media. And then I kind of show the companies a little bit of the stuff I do for networking on LinkedIn, kind of as a thank you. And then their company logo goes on the station signage. And then they're able to network with these 50 companies that are coming together. And Texas Day Brazil, the same group that was out for the park development for Heroes Bridge, they come out and cook on site, steak, chicken, sausage for everyone.
Oh, and it is good.
Yes, amazing. They're amazing. And that allows us to give more funds back to support the mission. And Ryan Parrott, he's a Navy SEAL that founded the organization. So they raise funds for burn survivors. So veterans, first responders, even kids, they work with a team of Tier 1 reconstructive burn surgeons in Florida, and they're able to send a burn survivor there for treatment and surgery. And then they also fund a fellowship every year for research, because I believe a lot of the technology is still back from like World War II, and they're trying to help develop that technology for burn survivors.
That's amazing. It's incredible to see when you have a burn victim. First of all, the trauma that they go through initially, and then for months and sometimes years afterwards. And as they have the heavy scarring, and as they get older, how the scarring actually calms down. And some places heal. It's like nothing has happened in that space. So they're doing phenomenal things. And then we've got another clay shoot at one of my favorite places in Elm Fork.
Elm Fork, yes.
Yep. And that's on October 12th, and that's benefiting Light Up to Live, which is a nonprofit that works with the LED light therapy systems. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the Randall Reed, so he is over all of our Planet Ford dealerships. They have an LED light therapy system, and technically they can say that it increases blood flow and decreases pain. So they are able to use that for head injuries. And then there's a lot of individuals who they were able to help with phantom pain. Good friends of mine that have spoken of the systems that they've used on their leg that's helped with phantom pain. So we kind of help coordinate that through Planet Ford 635. Same thing, Texas Day Brazil's out there again. And each of these events we do, our goal is to try to hit that 50,000 mark, and then just kind of grow it from there. And then also networking all those companies together.
That's fantastic. And so explain a little bit more about the LED light therapy systems. Is it like the red light therapy that's out?
Yeah,
Okay.
There's red, and then there's also one that has white. So there's like different ones that you can use on your head, and the rest of them, you can actually use them anywhere on your body.
Oh, okay. Okay. I know heard of it. Actually have a smaller unit in downstairs front bedroom. When you talk about pain, it also related to post-traumatic stress. It has a calming, it calms everything down. It calms your entire system down. So whether pain is kind of jacking your heart rate or keeping you, I'll say it, you operate on an energetic wave level that is very high, and so it's distressing. The LED light therapy just brings everything, it calms everything down, so frankly you're able to relax.
Yeah.
And it is, until you try, I tell everybody, don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah.
Because it's super beneficial. And then we go into 2023. Okay, so folks, if you're taking notes, I hope everybody has their phone out and plugging these events into their phone. So we skip forward to March 10th. Fingers crossed that Mom Nature goes with the flow, because man, she was flowing some kind of craziness, because we had to cancel and postpone from the first original one. Thank goodness we were able to do it the next week. But
I was literally sitting at home, and one of the sponsored teams texted me, and they're like, "What do we do if there's frost in the morning?" And I said, "What?" And I looked at the weather, and it was like supposed to snow. I was like,
yep.
What? But I will say, which y'all may have talked about on the previous, but the fact that we moved that date a week back, and then we still had crazy winds. It was cold. Shout out to Big D Party Rentals for giving us some heaters.
Yes.
To keep us all warm for the after part. But a majority of everyone stuck around because they wanted to learn about the mission and the park and walk the bridge and getting more involved with the movement and helping veterans and first responders locally. So it was just so beautiful to see that everyone sitting there and listening to 12 and Sideshow and Swavey and learning more about the mission and how to get involved. So March 10th will be our second annual, and all the events we do, they are all verbal reservations. Mm-hmm. So you can literally just send me an email, Facebook, LinkedIn, hey, put our company down for this event. And then you don't have to pay until, a month or 2 months before the event. That's kind of how we run everything. And then March 24th, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We're doing another clay shoot, and that is going to be for the Garland Police Never Walk Alone Foundation. So they help a lot of the Garland officers. There was 2 previous that were veterans and had cancer, specialty type. So the Garland Foodies, who are good friends of mine, actually hosted a benefit dinner, and a bunch of the community came together, and they were able to raise almost $50,000 to give back to those officers and help them. And then now they're actually working with mental health and different TBI injuries. So the beautiful thing now is my passion and purpose, I'm able to mix with my professional, and with Heroes Bridge, with Garland Police, we're able to talk about trigeminal neuralgia, the suicide disease, and these MVD surgeries. And now, like I said, my Marine veteran coworker, the Green Beret, and then even from the event that we had, one of our local firefighters brought a firefighter from Frisco, and his wife has been diagnosed with these neuralgias. Wow. So it's more prevalent than we even know about.
Absolutely. So, we're coming up on the top of the hour. I think what people have been waiting for is, how the heck do we reach out to Sheena? Give us the goods, Sam. So Sheena, what is the best way for people to connect with you, to get in touch?
Yes. Any of my social channels is just obviously under my name there. My email, sheena.m as in Mary.Sharapata@gmail.com. So if you guys have any questions, or someone suffering, you can email me. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Sheena Sharapata. I've got a couple videos talking about my symptoms and why I do what I do. So you're able to reach out through me. Pretty much any of those places, I'll get the message, and I try to respond to everyone, because I know everyone is, needs help, and people are looking for hope, and they're desperate. And, a lot of them are going misdiagnosed for 18 years like myself. And so many people ask me, why do you do what you do? And do you get paid, or what are this? I'm like, no. I mean, literally, if my aunt didn't have this, I would have never known. And where would I be? And it just so happened it came back. I had it. I had completely different symptoms, had 2 successful surgeries, and now all these other people with these symptoms have it. So how do you have all of this information and someone reaches out, and 5 to 10 minutes of your time can change someone's life?
Absolutely. Amen to that. And with your, sorry, I was typing everything out, and your email, is it at Gmail or?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make that.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, John and I are the same thing. It's like, we've been through all of our stuff, and 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes on the phone, it can change somebody's life. It can help them. We weren't, like I said in the beginning of the show, we're not meant to go through what we do to keep it here, to hold it close to the vest. We're meant to do something with it. And Sheena, this has been, to say eye-opening is an understatement, because for a lot of people that have suffer from different things, it's not a comparison. I just think about the inability to find any comfort on any given day, and have it be something that's inside your head. But there's hope, and where there's hope, there's healing. And thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Really.
I appreciate you for letting me share. And it's an honor to be on here for all the work you guys are doing. And I brought this up at the golf tournament, and, suicide, some people will say, hey, I don't get it. And at the golf tournament, I said, well, look what I have. I have a physical ailment going on that's causing this. So it's kind of another perspective to look at, for individuals that happens, what's really going on. And maybe there could be this going on as well.
And perspective, yes, is a huge thing that we need to not always come at things with a judgment based upon our perspective of something, that our perspective is ever have an attitude of, I can always have an ever-changing perspective, because the people that you meet, you never know who's going to enlighten you or bring you to something that you've never heard of. Like me, I've never heard of TN, and John said, yeah, the thing called the suicide disease. And I was like, back the truck up. What are you talking about here? Because this sounds really serious. And so we needed to get it out there. Again, thank you so much for coming on. And guys, connect with Sheena. Also, I will just say again, she's a marketing, promotion, and community events guru. So whether it's TN, whether you need assistance, with your organization, she's a master.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheena. We'll catch up with you soon.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Blessings to you, my friend. Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. Wow, what a fantastic show tonight with Sheena, shedding all kinds of incredible light on trigeminal neuralgia. It's tough to say. It is just absolutely wicked. If you're suffering from it, or you think you might be suffering from it, please reach out to Sheena. She can guide you through the process. And if you've been listening, that process can be very difficult, especially if you have physicians that don't really do a lot of work with TN patients. Check out all the amazing organizations that I put in the chat tonight. And in between all of this, Sheena has been a great help to John and I here at Mad Radio, but also with a badge of honor. If you are a first responder, okay, if you're an active first responder, you want to go to a badgeofhonor.com right now and enroll in our April 22nd first responder wellness and resiliency workshop. Why? For just the reasons that Sheena and I talked about. You never have to be alone in your struggles. Myself, John, Jeff, and John know what it's like to struggle with post-traumatic stress. We have been through the traumas that we see in law enforcement and firefighting, and we're here to tell you that you are not alone. In fact, if you're checking out my post today, I said the most impactful thing at the beginning of my journey after 9/11 was actually getting my diagnosis, because I didn't have to wonder what was going on with me anymore. And, there's a lot more to that. Same thing with John and Jeff. We had this stuff going on, and we got it figured out. And so we are bringing this to you all in an 8-hour interactive format where you will walk out of that workshop with tactics and tools to help combat the stress of the job. And it's not to tell you have post-traumatic stress, it's the awareness piece, things you might want to be aware of so that you can ask questions of us, of some professionals, whoever you want to go to, have a conversation with other officers. That's what's going on. We also will be back in East Texas for a 2-day workshop. Again, an 8-hour workshop, which, by the way, comes with TCOL credits for all you Leos listening out there. We'll be in Lindale, Texas, May 6th and May 7th. Again, visit abadgeofhonor.com. Get yourselves registered. May 7th is a family workshop open to active and retired first responders and their family members. Come on out, share an afternoon with us. We're going to highlight a couples panel, which was very successful on our last family workshop. And this couples panel, we have an incredible couple from an organization called Married with PTSD. I swear that's what the organization's called. But they shed so much light on what it's like to be married and dealing with a PTSD diagnosis, what that actually means. And by the way, they're both on the job presently. One is a firefighter and one is a law enforcement officer. And so they will be with us. All of our events coming up that go all the way through June, abadgeofhonor.com. Check us out there. And hey, if you are somebody that tunes in week after week, thank you so much for listening. You can support us by shopping on Amazon. Yes, I said by shopping on Amazon, because we are part of the Amazon Smile family, and it's super easy. You just go on your phone where you have your Amazon app, but instead of going right into the app, just go to smile.amazon.com. You'll select A Badge of Honor Incorporated, and then that will be a direct link to your Amazon account. So every time you make a purchase on Amazon, a portion of that goes to A Badge of Honor. I will be remiss if I didn't talk about Carry the Load. Guys, Memorial Day is right around the corner. And this year, Carry the Load is more special than ever. I've been a participant in a fundraiser with them since 2015. And we have just completely been honored here at A Badge of Honor to be named a national nonprofit partner with Carry the Load. Now, what does that mean? It means there's 2 ways to support. You can go to carrytheload.com and sign up to be part of Team A Badge of Honor. So you can find the team and you can help us fundraise. Or you can go right to our page, so carrytheload.org, and then /A Badge of Honor, and you can direct donate. Now, all of the funds will go directly to benefit first responders and veterans and everything that they struggle with, whether it's post-traumatic stress, suicide prevention, housing, you name it, they've got it. And Carry the Load is connecting all of us, because when it comes to healing our heroes, it is never one size fits all. And we're all going to be together in Dallas over Memorial Day weekend. Mark your calendars, that Sunday and that Monday, Memorial Day. Come on down to Reverchon Park in Dallas. We would love to meet you and all of our supporters that have generously donated so far. You'll see our individual fundraisers on our Facebook pages. So you hear it from every organization. Every penny counts. It's true. Every penny does count because of the incredible and enormous impact that it makes. So, I want to thank you again for joining us. Check out all of Sheena's information. She's got a wonderful LinkedIn page. That's where I like to live too. So check her out there. Again, don't be afraid to ask questions. If you think there's something going on and you think it might be TN or trigeminal neuralgia, the suicide disease, don't be shy. It's okay to ask a non-doctor, somebody who has been through what you might be going through. So go ahead and reach out to her. And we will be back with another phenomenal show on the 20th of this month. So until then, thank you so much for joining me tonight. To everybody out there, until next time, we will see you. Take care, everybody.